toxic workplaces. So this topic actually came as a demand from our audience, and I was like, why not? Let's talk about these workplaces that we feel they're very toxic. You're almost left without no chance of leaving, but also you have to stay there, keep it up, improve on your performance, and all of that. So that is the topic you're going to cover this morning. And with me, no other than Wilfred, who has actually really helped us push this wheel in 2025 of the webinars. So I'm very excited to welcome you, Wilfred, and the rest of our participants. My name is Purity. I work for ACCUREX, and ACCUREX is a HR consulting firm. We're based here in Nairobi. We do many things, including the training, like one that we're about to deliver this morning. We also do team building. I know the year is coming fast and close to a close. So if you're looking for something fun for your team, we've been serious all year long. So we must be the team to talk to, especially if you're looking for either an India party or a team building event. So I'm keen to discuss with you more about our company at the very tail end of our conversation this morning and afternoon. So karibuni sana. Wilfred, where are you?
I'm here. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, very, very much audible.
My camera is behaving in a manner to suggest.
Okay.
Yes, a second, but I'm good. Yeah, there you go.
Yes, perfect. So there you are. Karibu sana, Wilfred, and also everyone else. Feel free to participate, ask questions, ask those things you feel like you can't ask your manager or even your colleague. I believe today we are the people to answer those hard, difficult workplace questions, especially around toxicity, and also try to survive and thrive at the same time as also praying and hoping you might get better opportunities coming your way as time progresses. So the way we've structured our webinar is we'll do a presentation for about 45, 50 minutes thereabout. Then we'll have a Q&A session at the very tail end. I'll also come back to talk a little bit more about ACCUREX at the very tail end. We have a feedback form. So if you'd be interested to give us feedback, either how the training is going, what future topics are you looking out for? What dynamic would you want, especially for the webinar? So I'm keen to hear about that. Also, if you want a certificate just to show you attended this webinar on surviving and thriving toxic workplaces, that is the place to leave your name and contact. So thank you so much, and over to you, Wilfred.
Thank you, Purity, and welcome all. Again, as Purity had mentioned, this is a very interesting, but at the same time, is a very sensitive topic we are covering today. And I know many of us have one way or the other gone through this, and it is come timely. And I trust and hope that everyone is going to be pleasantly learning today. All right. So again, just to welcome everybody on ACCUREX O'Clock. Again, it's always a pleasure to be hosting you guys. So without further ado, I'll just like to jump in. Confirm if you can see my screen. Just thumbs up. All right, thank you all. Gibson, Emma, thank you. Great. So I would like to start by asking a question. I know this is, as I said, is a very sensitive topic, but at the same time, it's very interesting. And especially with the onset of COVID, a lot of organizations are going through a lot of restructuring and, trying to make ends meet. Hence, a bit of the environment becomes all over the place. So, a question I would like to ask, when the word toxic work environment, before we can dig deeper into what it is, what comes to your mind? I'll open this session. I want this session to be very interactive, and we don't have to wait for the Q&A at the end of the session. So being that it's a very interesting topic, I know a lot of us have a lot to say about this. So let's see those hands up. And also you can also use the chat platform to voice your opinions, and we'll capture that as we move on. So for the people who are on call, when the word toxic workplace environment, when the word toxic is fronted to you, what comes to your mind? Or how do you define it? Yeah? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yes,
Yes.
you are.
I'm thinking I might be speaking alone. Huh?
I
Yeah?
think maybe I
So,
can kick it off for you,
please,
Wilfred, what
please.
toxicity means. For me, the fact that I've also worked in a place that was toxic is that place where you wake up in the morning, you think you're going to work, you get sick, you know, kichwa tu inaanza kukuuma out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think that is a number one indication wherever you're working is toxic,
Mm,
especially either the manager doesn't acknowledge the work that you do. There's a
mm,
lot of politics in the workplace. I think those ones also promote a lot of toxicity. There's a
mm,
lot of preferential treatment. There are some people who are class A
yeah.
employees
Mm,
than others. So I think those are some of the things that could trigger the toxicity. I
mm,
see some workplaces people are not talking to each other. I'm like, what are these? So
mhm.
I think those are just examples of toxicity at the workplace.
Yeah, toxicity comes in many forms and shapes. I see Kibaya Josie says environment characterized by dysfunctional, where is this gone to? Yeah, dysfunctional behaviors, poor communication, and healthy dynamics negatively impact employee well-being. Yes, Lois Wanjiru says micromanaging, inconsistency, manipulative behavior. Yeah, that's a big one there. Patrick says, okay, we're going to answer that as we go. That's a question Patrick is asking. Munesi says the environment that causes mental distress, as Purity has mentioned. Okay, Eric say one way employees face persistent mistreatment, favoritism, intimidation, exploitation, and it harms morale and productivity. Yeah, again, very true, very true, very true. So I see I have a quorum that has one way or the other dealt with, toxicity. So what it is, I'd like to start maybe by, defining that. But before we even define that, let's see our objective, all right? Again, confirm you can still see my screen. I think it's being distorted. I don't know if, all right. So our objective today, understanding a toxic environment, work environment, and outcome. So we are going to understand what toxic environment is, and at the end of the session, I'd like us to know the signs, the causes, the impact of what this toxic environment does to our well-being. Number two, we are going to see how to build resilience and protect our well-being. All right. So we're going to, at the end of the session, again, the outcome, I'm hoping that you will have learned the practical strategies that are going to enhance emotional resilience, manage stress, and maintain our mental well-being, which is very, very, very important, especially today's day and age. All right. Again, going to see how to communicate, how to manage difficult communication, or how to communicate effectively. All right. Then the outcome from that, I'm hoping that all of us will have the ability to communicate assertively, empathetically, and navigate this toxic environment constructively. And then we are going to learn about finding growth and then positivity even within those challenges. Within that, we are going to learn how to reframe the setbacks that the setbacks as opportunities. We're going to see how we can grow even amid those challenges. We're going to see how we can cultivate our positive mindset. Again, see techniques that are going to help us reflect on how our well-being is, like, for example, practicing gratitude and so forth. Again, we are going to see now knowing when it's time to move, because sometimes we realize that you cannot change the system. So if you cannot change the system, it will hurt your well-being to consistently, stay there. So you are going to see those signs that now it will tell your body will tell you, or you learn that, okay, this is time for me to transition and plan my exit. So those are the outcomes and the objective for today. So how do we recognize toxic environment? All right. Now, a toxic workplace is not just about annoying coworkers. Tight deadlines, where dysfunction, someone has mentioned about dysfunctions. As much as dysfunction may become a norm in a workplace, but there's more to it that brings out the toxicity. Now, the beginning to understand this, understanding toxicity first in the first step helps you to manage, because even when you go to any psychologist will tell you that acknowledging a problem is the first step to healing, right? So again, understanding toxicity is the first step to either navigating away from it or helping to manage it, all right? So a toxic workplace undermines employee well-being through negative, we have seen people are mentioning negative behaviors, poor leadership, unhealthy cultural norms. So the symptoms are this. We have constant, it starts like that, constant gossip. Now you find that there has rumors, so and so is talking about so and so. What happened yesterday? What is going on in they are called kitchen cabinets. I don't know other companies how they call them. Then you have poor communication, all right, unclear expectation. You find that maybe there is a task you are given, but there is no clear communication on how this task is going to be carried out and for how long. But at the same time, you are expected to perform at your best, all right? And when you go and seek help, the help does not come as expected. So those are the telltale signs of toxic environment emanating. Again, lack of trust. So if you've ever come across an organization whereby a manager has to micromanage anything you do, they have to verify if it's true or not. So lack of trust. I know many of they are called the Indian brothers and sisters who, again, they form majority part of businesses in Kenya. They have a way of installing cameras in offices. I don't know how many of guys on the call have cameras in their offices. Maybe by the show of hands, can I see a few? If you have cameras in your office, just thumbs up, jump thumbs up. Yeah, Caroline, Sharon, yes, thank you, Bernard. I see many have. So you see, why have you ever asked yourself, why are those cameras there? Maybe the installation was for a good cause, but some managers come in now to use that for a reason best known to themselves. They want to micromanage you. What are you doing at what particular time? I remember there used to be I used to work for a company who had those CCTV cameras, and it just so happens that my desk, the camera was just behind me, so they could see what I'm doing on my PC. So at any given time, if you go to either Google or you go to YouTube, they'll tell you, why are you good? They will see a phone call. What are you doing? What are you doing? So things like those. So they make you as a person want to always be watching your back, which is not an effective way to work. Again, we have seen persistent negativity. There is always, whatever you do is not always right. Sorry, my slide is going ahead of me. All right, we are still here. Persistent negativity. Again, someone had mentioned about negativity. So you see unfairness, favoritism. Whatever you do, maybe some other employee is being favored, even if when they are doing little to promote or rather to perform their tasks. Then you have a lot of, if you see an organization where there is a high turnover, employees come, some finish 1 month, some 6 months, some 3 months, that's a telltale sign, all right? Lack of psychological safety. People don't feel safe to speak up. If you are, you are worried about something, you are afraid to speak up. So those are some of the telltale signs that will let you know that this environment might just be toxic, all right? So what is the real impact of workplace toxicity? Now, we have a study from Journal of Management of Business Education. This is a study was done earlier this year that says that toxicity or the rates increased by anxiety for, this is for now the employees, anxiety increases by the rate of 300% in toxic environment. Again, productivity drops by 40%. Turnover increased by between 50 to 200% in terms of annual salary. So the root cause is this, of all this is, again, you find that if the system is in place, either there is ineffective leadership or unclear expectation, unhealthy cultural norms, and of course, no one wants to be accountable for anything. Even from top down, you realize even managers, even supervisors, even the owners of the company themselves, they have cultivated a culture like no one is accountable for anything. There is a lot of blame game being thrown around. All right. So those are the real impact. Some of it are chronic stress, anxiety, as Purity had mentioned. And this is why people dread Mondays. I don't know anyone on the call. If you find yourself like you dread Mondays, then again, it's some could be a symptom of workplace toxicity. So you find that you have a lot of stress, chronic stress that doesn't go away. You have low self-esteem, always you are self-doubting, right? Those are some of the impact of toxicity in a work environment. Emotional exhaustion, toxic environment, they drain you emotionally. You find that even if you love your job, but at the same time you find that you are always emotionally drained. When you are expected to stay positive, you are not. When you are expected to stay productive, you are not. So despite everything that is you are trying to do to improve yourself emotionally, you find that you are always exhausted. And then all this brings out to burnout. And when burnout kicks in, that's when you find that even those productive people, they are not productive anymore. So that is on the emotional side. Now, speaking of cost, now productivity, of course, if performance is reduced, productivity goes down. The energy spent in coping with stress, conflict, and it's not spent now in doing meaningful work. So focus is not on production. So that means revenue again dwindles down. Then you find that now on the career-wise, you find that people are stuck. There is no promotion. Of course, most of the time you find that there is no promotion in these work environments. People are just there. I find that when entry level, the position you are in 2, 3, 4 years ago is still the same position. Then you find that again we mentioned about high turnover. So people, they come, and this is happening a lot, especially right now that you are dealing with Gen Zs. They'll come and see the environment, they'll leave you, okay? So you find that there is a lot of job hopping. People will come, they see the environment, they'll know, this place I cannot survive. They go away, okay? Again, over time, you find that the company reputation and the company professional relationship within the market sector is damaged, all right? Again, you find unhealthy related absenteeism because, as I said, if you find yourself dreading those Monday mornings, then you call in, okay, I'm not able to come to work. Somebody will fake a disease, will fake an illness, but it may be, as Purity had mentioned even in the beginning, you find yourself, you're sick, you're literally sick, but you go to hospital, they do not find anything, right? So your body is telling you that, okay, where you are going, it's trying to figure out the connection, all right? So you find yourself that emotionally you are drained, burnout has kicked in, so your body feels fatigued. At the same time, it starts, emanating some, sickness, things like that. All right. So these are some of the impacts. I know there are a lot of things you can talk about. As I said, this is a very interesting topic and very sensitive also. So, but that's just highlighting a few of the impact that we have when you have you are faced with an a toxic work environment. Now, maybe at this point, I'd like to maybe to ask if what are the behaviors you think that are the biggest warning sign in a toxic work environment? Like, or for example, any in an office or in an organization, what are those behaviors that you think are the biggest warning signs? And just raise your hands up, I'll see. I see John Wainaina. You can talk to us. I see you have
Uh,
something to say.
People can demonstrate being solitude in the workplace. Mtu kukaa peke yake, staying alone all the time, avoid talking with other people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so those are some of the behaviors.
Yes,
Yeah. Anyone else care to share?
yes.
Bernard says a high level of absenteeism. Okay. Of course, yeah, you find how many of us on the call here dread Mondays? Maybe that's, yeah, Bernard, Bernard dread Monday. Anyone else? A show of hands. Barbara, again. Joy. I see there's a few guys, yeah? Ronald. All right, we can see. So those are some of the things that when we see them, they spell toxicity. All right. So how do we build resilience? This is now our foundation between you and me. Of course, it's our foundation to survival. All right. The first, there are very many things that we can take, but just key pointers are, rather key points that we can consider is one, emotional balance, which is key. I know there's been trainings that have been, organization have, done for other, for their staff, other organizations have done in terms of building emotional intelligence, communication. Those are some of the trainings that you can participate or rather do in order to also build resilience. Now, on emotional balance, you practice mindfulness and deep breathing techniques. When pressure mounts, because again, this comes when, of course, there is maybe task you are supposed to be performing, and maybe you are about, rather deadline has passed, and then you have a boss who is always on your neck. They are those bosses. They have a management style called mbwa. Management by walking around. They feel that when you are in the office, when you are in your computer, that's when you are working. I used to work with another guy. He was a financial controller, and he used to believe that everybody who is working, you rather be on either Excel or an ERP system, whichever that you are using. So if you are on either Word document or you are using PowerPoint or any other document aside from Excel, you are not working. So it'll bring pressure to you. What are you doing? I pay you a lot of money, blah, 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 and all those stuff. So when pressure mounts, what do? It's always advisable, and this we can also attest to that. A lot of even psychologists, they say, take, a deep breath. Even when you are anxious, when you have anxiety, taking deep breath helps. So before respond, because you realize you do not want, it's a work environment, so you do not want just to, they call verbal diarrhea. I don't know what you call it, but I call it verbal diarrhea. So when you don't want just to speak, because you may end up speaking something that will be unprofessional, or it will be detrimental to either you or the other person you are talking to. So pausing, taking a deep breath helps you to assess what has just been spoken, and you can also plan the response. It creates the space between your reaction and your action. All right. Again, number 2 will be setting boundaries, learning to say no respectively. And I know this is very difficult especially for millennials and Gen X going way back there. It was very difficult because I come from an environment where I used to be told when your boss says something, you just agree. Even if you don't know, you agree and then go find out later. It is not a good statement to make, but I know many can resonate with that, because they say what the boss says is always true, right? It's like agreeing even when they tell you now, go kill yourself, right? So setting boundaries is key. Use phrase like, I can help with that maybe next week or maybe later in the day. You would like to help, but at this point you have ABCD task you are doing. So you'll get back to that task later on. Or you can say, let me check my calendar. A lot of people say, let me check my calendar, or let me check my task. If you can squeeze it in, you will. But if not, okay, that's like saying I'm not refusing to help you, but I cannot leave my work and do your work, right? So checking your priorities. Of course, some of us, when our colleagues come for help, they expect that help immediately. And this is human nature, because maybe at your point, from your point of view, it is something that you're working on that is really urgent and you're stuck somewhere. And you go to your colleague and want some help on that. But in this case, the colleague also is working on something. Like, for example, for my case, I come from a tech background, and I know a lot of people, there is a very thin line between, we always say, when IT is working, anything system is working, people think that IT guys are not working. And also, when the system is not working, they say that IT guys are not working, because there is always a gray area when you guys are working or not. So when a guy comes to me for help, and I'm already trying to sort someone else, and they want their issue to be addressed first. So there's a very gray area there, so that when it's where you want to set boundary. In this case now, my responding to you immediately does not mean that I'm not working, or my not responding to you immediately does not mean that I'm refusing to help, right? So this is a way to learn how to build that, because I know it's very difficult, and especially when we are colleagues, a lot of times we become obsessed on that. We want help, and help should come right now. So building resilience in a toxic environment, it involves a lot of things. And one or two you have just mentioned here. Another one will be clarify why you are there, why you value what you do, right? Connect your purpose. Why do you do what you do? Because you realize that there is a lot of toxic around you that you start questioning, why did I even choose this profession, so to speak? Or why did I even agree to come to this environment? Now, this helps a lot because especially when you are moving from one job to the other, you realize that if you have not done your research well, you'll find that the place you have moved to becomes even toxic than the one you left. So you start questioning yourself, why did I even agree to this position? Or why did I even agree to join this company? Those are some of the questions I know many ask themselves. Again, practice detachment, not disengagement. So detachment and disengagement are different. But detachment doesn't mean that you are avoiding or rather not doing what you're supposed to do. It means that you are detaching yourself from things that drive you away from your core tasks. Disengagement means that you don't want to do anything. Now, learning to emotionally detach yourself from things like this becomes very paramount, right? Just a second. Okay, receiving a call there. Now, again, from all of this, maintaining professionalism becomes key. This is now where personal integrity comes in, sticking to your own standard, even if others do not. We say integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching, right? Remember, how you respond matters more than how you act. All right. Then focus on improving yourself. This will include, like, for example, you are here, you are learning about, thriving and surviving this toxic environment. It is building. You will learn something new that you did not know yesterday, right? Those are some of the things that we can help us to build resilience. Now, these are some of the things that we can do daily so that they help us in navigating this. They are called non-negotiables, or in the famous word is irreducible minimums. I know many of us know about the irreducible minimums. Yeah. So physical movement, exercising. Again, this is a study by doctors that has ascertained that exercise releases endorphins and it combats stress. So even either morning or evening or even during lunch break, you can do a 15 minutes walk, which also helps you to reset your nervous system. And again, study shows that it improves focus. Time management also becomes very key. When you have some tasks to do, because as you said, we want to focus on what we can control, and we don't want to, indulge ourselves in the office politics. So blocking your calendar so that you know where your deep work is, when you want to focus on work, and when you need to have a break. All right. So strategic rates is very important, and I know there was to be. I know many of us know Mandela. So Mandela, in his schedule, he used to have like a 30 minutes break, a 30 to 45 minutes break to sleep during the day. So around between 2 and 3:30, they used to be the management used to block his calendar. So the usually was that in between those times he could go and sleep and then wake up and then continue his schedule. Again, for those of us who are using computers, and I know many of us do, it is recommended that after every 90 minutes, you have a 10-15 minutes break. So this 15 minutes break can help you, again, reset your nervous system. And also it helps even the eyes, because you realize that the glare from the screen, if you just are there from morning to evening, again, it will not help you from your physical point of view, physical well-being point of view. So intentional rest, again, recharges your creativity, which again will help in solving those issues that may arise. All right. So, so how do we master, or how do we deal with difficult conversations? All right. I know many of us are faced with this question most of the time. There are some conversations that some of us will not want to engage in, but we have to. So how do we do that, but at the same time maintaining professional relationship? There are a few frameworks out there that we can use to address that. So some of them, or one of them, is stating the fact, describing the situation objectively without judgment or emotion. And all this is a very gray area, because most of the time, if you are irritated, you cannot separate your action and your emotion. They become intertwined. All right. If it's a task that your manager is screaming at your ears, why have you not done this, or why have you done this? So learning to objectively describe the situation, not the person, the situation, and not including emotion, becomes very key. Now, expressing the impact of the situation also is very key. Now, I know doctors will say this, even in any relationship, will say that using the statement, the I statement, you can say, I feel, you know, I want, I suggest, you know. So you express the, you know, the impact, all right? So it's good to prepare, don't react. So because you should, in between responding, as we mentioned before, when a stress, or rather situation has come, pausing before responding is very key. So it gives you time to prepare your response and not react. And then clarifying your objectives. Why are you doing what you're doing? Or why do you want me to do this? So you can say, when you say using I statement, you can say, I understand your point of view, but I'm suggesting we focus on task A before we can do this. All right. So, I understand your point of view. I will deal with your, I will deal with your issue in the next few minutes after I finish task A. All right. So again, sticking to facts and not feeling. This is where we say now it's very difficult to remove your feelings from your actions, because now feelings and actions, they most often go hand in hand. All right. But sticking to facts, not feeling, manages to put your emotions in check, and you focus on by focusing on impacts, or rather the situation rather than not the person, because you realize that if it's a boss, for example, who is on your neck always, all the time, who makes you dread Mondays, now you start hating this boss. But maybe if you put yourself in their shoes, you'll find that maybe they have the boss maybe over them that is also screaming at their neck. So they are also just extrapolating that behavior to you. Maybe at their point of view, they do not know how to manage that. So there is something we call an SBI model that people use, and the study has shown that it helps a lot. So SBI means, S means situation, B means impact behavior, then I means impact. So you assess the situation, you assess also the behavior, then you assess also the impact. So this is the situation that you are in, the behavior of the person who is telling you this, and then the impact of either his response or your response, right? So for example, if you had a meeting, and then you will tell this person, okay, in the meeting, this is the situation now. The meeting is the situation. So when you interrupted me several times, so the interruption is the behavior. So the behavior of this person made you, like for example, it was, you could say that it made me, it was hard for me to express my feeling. So in the meeting yesterday, so the meeting is the situation. Your interruption of when I was speaking, now the interruption becomes the behavior, and then you say that it made me it made it impossible for me to express my feeling. So now that's the impact. The impact of that, you are not able to express yourself, right? Hands up if you are still together. Can I see a thumbs up? I might be speaking alone. I'm speaking Sana, right? Thank you, thank you. All right, thank you, Patrick. Thank you, Brenda, Esther. All right, maybe at this point, I'd like to engage your brain kidogo and ask a question. So in your situation, or I know many of us have faced this environment, as I said, one or the other. So in your experience, does toxicity usually come from an individual or the system? What do you think? Yeah, Rhoda, thank you. I see you are going together. So do you think this is escalated by an individual, or rather instigated by an individual or the system? I see Lucy says both. Thank you. What do you think? Anybody else? I think the Corazon says too much anger. I know that was an answer from before. Yeah, so both individual, okay. So it's individual who make up the system. That is Bernard saying. Thank you, Bernard. So in a way, yes. But now this is, for example, as I said, in the beginning, we say those telltale signs, gossip, persistent negativity, and low self-esteem. So it starts minute like that. You say people are not following rules, so there is gossip. People are not being trusted. There's those things. Then okay, Mwenesi say the system influences the individuals. That's true also. But I like what Bernard says, individuals who make up the system, because again, these systems, if it's not, or rather the system also is made by people, and these people are the one who drives the system. Why, when we say the system, like in Kenya, when they say the dynasty and those who have and they have not, and things like those. So you find that in most of organizations, you find there's people that you call kitchen cabinet, people who know from, who knows who from, so they behave the way they want to behave because they have a godfather, and the godfather behaves the way he wants to behave because he has shares or what have you, things like that. All right. So again, this is where now the management, who are the owners of the system, becomes a key player in terms of changing this culture positively, right? So again, another question I would like to ask us, if you are a leader, if you are, I know, let me rephrase that, not you are, I know we are all leaders in our own capacities. So what are the signs that you look for to prevent toxicity in a work environment, so that it doesn't become rooted in the environment, in the work environment? What are those? Yeah. At this point, maybe I'd like to hear some voices from people. What are those early signs you will look for to prevent? Or if you are afraid to speak, you can also use the chat platform. Yeah. We don't know anything, or we don't want to say. All right, as people think, let's move on. I know we have a lot to talk about, but time also is flying. All right, now again, we're talking about requesting change. As a person and me as a leader, I would be able to, request some things. If there are things that you can control, there are things that you can say, you can propose, specific actionable solutions that work for both you and the management. Or, again, documenting commitments and follow-up timeline becomes a very key point in terms of how you can manage those conversations. All right. So what is effective and what is not in terms of conflict resolution? Now we are looking about avoiding the issue and hoping it will resolve itself. Of course, any one of us will know that that is an effective way of dealing with a problem. Or attacking the person instead of addressing the behavior. Even you are told, even with our children, when you are disciplining your child, you tell the child, I'm not beating you, but I'm beating the problem that is in you, right? Some of us who are parents, will know this. When you are disciplining a child, you will say, okay, napiga makosa. I am disciplining offense, not you. All right. Or interrupting and dismissing other perspectives. That is an effective way of dealing with conflict resolution. All right. Again, making demands without listening. And I know, again, I'll go back to our, those of us who have been able to work with our Indian brothers and sisters, you know that sometimes they make demands, and when they are speaking, even when I've found this to be true, because even when you go into a meeting, when they are speaking, they don't want you to speak. Whereas, and this becomes prominent when they are angry. They will not let you speak. So after they speak, they blab, and they give demands, and then they don't listen to your point of view. All right. That is one of an ineffective way of dealing with, or rather, conflict resolution. Or escalating emotionally without preparation. That's another way of an effective way of dealing with that conflict resolution. So the effective way is addressing the issue promptly with a calm and preparation. Now, we've just dealt with when an issue, or rather when you have you found that there is a stressing situation. Pausing, taking those deep breaths helps you to prepare. So you are in that preparation. Now your response will be now you are now practicing empathy and practicing also emotional intelligence. So you will address the issue rather than the person. And this should not, again, promptly means that it should not let an issue escalate for, rather stay unresolved for so long. All right. So someone would ask me, what is so long? Maybe a day or 2 or 3, depending on the situation. But more so, it's within the day. Don't let an issue, go without being addressed. Using active listening skills. Again, having active listening skills is very important, because that will make you understand the point of view of that other person, so that you know at what is the reason they are behaving the way they are behaving. At least from that point of view, you'll be able to action, or rather respond accordingly. Again, finding common ground and shared goals. All right, this is some of the effective way of conflict resolution. Proposing collaborative problem solving. Okay, as we mentioned, you say, like using the SBI model. Describe the situation, or rather describe also the behavior, and then the impact. All right, helps you to also do, or rather resolve conflict. And then knowing when to involve HR. I know at this point, HRs, how many HRs do we have on call? By hands up, thumbs up, so that I can see how many HRs we have. Wansi, Mwenesi, yeah, Purity, thank you. Rose, I know many times you get this a lot. Conflict resolution is your part of your KPIs, right? So employee so has, spoken bad about employee B. Employee A has not done the task, or rather has done the task bad. So you get a lot of this. So you find that a lot of time you spend in conflict resolution between staff. So when you have now a toxic environment, becomes even more pronounced in terms of conflict. So conflict resolution becomes the order of the day. All right. So these are some of the areas we are looking out of, whether it should be effective or not effective. All right. Now, this is a big one. Now, finding growth even within those challenges. I know many would say, how can you grow in a toxic environment? But they say, an Englishman once said, one man's meat is another's poison. All right. It could be poison for me, but there is someone who is thriving. Those who have very big shock absorbers. They're called, when your car to perform well, you have to put in very good shock absorbers. And we are told, for people who own cars, we are told that there's Monroe shock absorbers they are very quality. So for people who have those kind of shock absorbers, they thrive even in toxic environment. But again, it's a bit difficult to do that. So how do we go about finding growth? Something that is very key is, reconnecting with your values. Finding, again, we talked about asking yourself, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you there? All right? What value are you adding there? So if you know you are a valuable employee, it helps also in, again, not minding about what is the politics that is going on around. So what matters most in this occasion is now you staying professional, identifying the aspects of your work that aligns with your purpose or your goals, and doubling down on those areas that are not right. So if you reconnect to yourself, you ask yourself, I'm here to perform a purpose. I'm here to do my work and not to engage in office politics. Again, it will help you find growth in that. Another one would be setting micro goals. We've been told many times we have to set goals. And again, every day you come at work, you have your task to do. So setting those micro goals, like today, I have to finish task A, B, C, and D. And despite the pressure that is external, things that you cannot control, you endeavor to finish those. So break those overwhelming situations into achievable wins. Now, even if a task is big and there is pressure to finish, especially when to beat deadlines, you get a lot of pressure. But as much as there is pressure, there is always a question you should ask yourself. Would it be wise for me to finish quickly and not finish it correctly? Or will it be wise for me to maybe pass the deadline within hours or a day, but finish the work correctly? So those are some of the questions that we should ask ourselves, and extract the lessons. Extract the lessons from the whole bunch of politics and rumors and those negative energies. So when you extract the lessons from the situation, it helps you build resilience, it helps you adapt, it helps you become self-aware, because these are the skills that will help you become competitive, even in future opportunities. We've been told that if you know how to survive in Kenya, there is nowhere else in the world that you cannot survive, because you've seen what is going around. There's so much that is going around in Kenya that when you've gotten a chance to, I know many other countries have their own way of working, or rather their own way of dealing with situations. But you find that Kenya is a cocktail of many problems and many solutions that if you know how to survive here, then there is nowhere else you cannot survive. So extracting the lessons from difficult situations helps you to build resilience, helps you to grow even in challenges, right? So reframing your experience as a season, because I know most of these times do not last, because they say we only have 24 hours and 8 hours a day, and then of 8 hours a day of work, that is for those who are employed. But you find that this, when you are in a toxic environment, these 8 hours may become even like a year. So shifting your mindset becomes key. Why, you ask yourself, why is this happening? So is it happening to teach me a lesson? So is it now revealing some trigger limits that you have? Is it now building your resilient capacity? So those are some of the questions that you ask yourself so that you can find growth and stay positive. Again, developing emotional agility helps you to grow endurance. All right? Sawa sawa. Thumbs up if you are still together. Are we learning something? Thank you, Ruth, Rebecca, Emma. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As we finalize, I know I'm just about to. So how to build support? Because we realize that building support amid this, you have to find some, yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. We realize that even in a difficult environment, we have to find support where at least you have a friend or two whom you can call or whom you can go to when you are you're needing support. This becomes very key to survive in a toxic environment. Creating those strategic alliances. So the people that you can go to and you know for sure these are the people that will help me navigate this situation, navigate this stressful situation, becomes key. So those strategic alliances matter a lot. How to identify those positive people in the environment matters a lot. Find mentors, join peer group. This may sound cliche, but it helps in terms of your self well-being, and cultivating as reciprocal relationships. Again, because there are people that you rely to, and of course, if they come to you, definitely you'll be a person that they can rely to also. Focus on your sphere of influence, because you cannot change. Say, for example, you've come in a company that is really toxic, so you cannot change the system. So there's a famous saying, if you can't win, you join them. So there is another counter phrase that I've come to learn, that if you can win from the outside, when you join them, you fight them from inside. But again, you realize that there are systems that you cannot change. So finding your cycle of influence becomes key, because if you change one person, this one person will change the other person. At the same time, as much as culture cannot be changed within a day, but you'll find that you have made some positive contributions on culture change when you focus on your sphere of influence. All right. As we finalize, knowing when it's time to say, now it's enough, it's enough. This becomes very key, because you have seen the warning sign, you have tried to build resilience, you have tried to communicate effectively, but it's not working. Now, these warning signs are, now you realize that your physical well-being, your physical health is declining. You realize that your personal relationships is also suffering. When you realize that you dread, and especially for those who say that they dread Mondays, telltale signs, be careful where you are approaching. So you find that if this one of these or several of these key points are resonating to you, then it's time to call it uh, time to move. So Number one, assess honestly. Honestly speak to yourself. Is this situation survivable? So if you have tried to survive but it's not working, now it is starting to destroy your health, and you've seen your misalignment, your toxicity is level, your stress levels goes up every time you are irritated. As we told by Puritan when we are starting, that you wake up and find you are sick, but you are not sick. It's just that your body is telling you that no, this is enough. So number one, when you assess yourself honestly. Number two, plan strategically. Update your resume, network. Well, of course, there are people that you know. We know these days as a manga, you should know people. The person that you are speaking to, and the people that you are dealing with, start, refreshing them. Number three, plan your exit strategy carefully. Maintain professionalism. Of course, when you say do not burn bridges, because sometimes you may not know. You may come when the situation has changed, and if you left the environment in a bad way, it may come to haunt you, right? Then you recover and renew. Reflect on the lessons, rebuild your confidence, then pursue health opportunities. All right? So, what are the key takeaways from all this that we have learned today? So, I would like to think that at this point, this is where now you take stock of what environment is doing to you, what you have tried to achieve but not able to, then be able to plan. So I'm thinking that become self-aware, recognizing that toxicity, you recognize this toxicity early. Then you tune into your, you tune into your emotional signal, observe the patterns, not just the insight, because they say there's office politics and then there is toxicity. Office politics are in every organization, but the toxicity now becomes on another level. So observing patterns, but not incident. These patterns will help you recognize, is this now office politics, or is just, office politics, or is a toxic environment emanating? Then you protect your well-being by, you've resilient, or you have built your resilience, you have built your your conflict resolution skill. So now it's time to care about yourself. Again, communication. Address issues assertively by speaking up, not just speaking up, but clearly speaking up the things that help you move your professional goals, or help you move your tasks, so that you become a well-rounded person. All right. Then again, growth mindset. Extract the lesson. We have gone through that. From adversity, you view those challenges as lessons to grow, because if they helped you in this situation, they might help you somewhere if you have now planned your exit. So these are the key points that are very key in terms of knowing when it's time to move, what are the key takeaways that you are moving with. All right. It helps you build that capacity. All right. So you become like a whole-rounded person. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take maybe a few Q questions. We are still together. Thumbs up.
Yes, we are. And thank you so much, Wilfred, for that wonderful session this morning, afternoon. And I think especially my biggest takeaway point is peace over nothing, despite how toxic these workplaces could be. But I think also just taking care of ourselves. And I know also the mental health week is around the corner. So I think also we'll take some time and let's talk about our mental health at some point. But thank you so much for your time, even your knowledge, your insights onto this topic. I'm buying you a bit of time to see if there will be any questions that are coming in.
Yeah.
But as we wind up, I wish to say a big thank you to our audience. Thank you for your patronage. Thank you that you always come up every Wednesday at 11. We officially baptized it like 3 or 4 weeks ago, ACCUREX o'clock, such that even if you're also trying to come up with a webinar series, find out your own time. This is ours. We've booked it. So thank you so much. I see a question around the presentation, if it will be available. Yes, it will be available. Normally we send it out when we are sharing out the certificates. So just make sure you leave us your details on the feedback form that is on the chat box. That way we are able to easily reach out to you and share with you as many materials as we can. We are ACCUREX that brings you this wonderful webinar every week. So, and I think this one for our patrons, they already know we are 10 years. We've been around the block doing HR consulting work, outsourcing, recruitment. If you're looking to leave one toxic environment to the other, I think you're the people to talk to us. We have a few jobs, especially in Kenya and also in the region. So look out for these opportunities. Majority of them are on our website. If not in the local job boards, you're able to see the jobs that we floated around. So we have people HRIS, that's a new kid on our blog. It's HR technology. So also if you're struggling to mitigate HR or wondering how does HR translate in a technology platform, we are the people to talk to. Ask us for a demo. A demo ideally takes between 20 and 30 minutes. So you're able to quickly see around our technology and see if it's able to meet the needs that you already have in your organization. So that is it from us this very wonderful morning. Yes, you can see all our recordings of this webinar and many others we've done over the years on our YouTube channel. So just go to ACCUREX on YouTube. You're able to see all recordings and even others that we don't make public, especially the ones that we also give out to our clients from an online perspective. So you're able to get so many topics that we're able to handle. So check out for this recording and many others that we've done before, and even the ones we'll do in future. So I believe that is it from us. A very big thank you to you, Wilfred, again. Thank you for your insights. I believe all of us have taken something around these toxic workplaces. And I hope we are not the people also promoting toxicity in our workplaces, because also it means there's also someone who is propagating this toxicity. So I really hope our audience, we are not among the people that are promoting the toxicity. So I wish you well. I wish you a safe workplaces. I wish you better work environments. I wish you more productive afternoon and even the rest of the week. And see you again next week. We have also a hot topic coming up from our kitchen. So make sure you check us out on our social media pages. Visit our website. Our website is very informational. So you're able to get a lot of information from there. So that is it from us and from the entire team of ACCUREX, the people in the back end. Thank you so much for always making sure that these webinars are coordinated. Our audience is here. So thank you, and have a very wonderful afternoon. Bye.
Thank you all, and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Thank you for the session. We've enjoyed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.